Hello, good evening, and welcome to my weekly 10 show. Tonight I'm going to be talking about fear, a lovely subject to be talking about. Fear is something that we all have to contend with, and it's something that's relevant to what's happening around the world right now, and well, not just generally, to be fair, in terms of, every time something happens, and we've had a stream of things happening recently. Big things. I mean, we always have fear, but big things. It instills fear in us, and that can then destabilise us. It can stop us moving forward. It can stop us doing the things that we truly want to in life. Then we talk ourselves out of, committing to things or doing things or moving forward in areas of our life which we know would benefit us, but we tend not to move forward because we fear things. And this is what I want to talk about tonight in terms of how it affects us, how it stops us moving forward, and how we can actually do something about that. Okay, so before I do, I just want to point out that I'm available for one-to-one coaching. I'm still doing group coaching. I've got a new program coming out at this end of this month, which is a 4-week program which helps you identify the beliefs which stop you creating the life that you truly want, because we a lot of the time don't realise that most of the things that we want in life or want to create in life will only be created if we have the belief aligned with that vision or belief or desire of what we really want. And if that belief isn't aligned with what where you want to go in life, you won't move forward in the areas that you want to, and you'll stay still, or you'll settle for something that you don't truly want. So it's important that we have our beliefs aligned with our visions in life. And if you haven't, then get in touch with me when I release my new program. Like I said, it's going to be in the next 3 weeks. I'm just having the artwork done for it today, and for the new for the advert thing. And I'll sign you up, because it's a 12-week group program that I'm going to be running. It's going to be affordable, and it's also going to be helping people put in place actual strategies and techniques which will help them create a much more easier way of creating the things that you actually want. So I'll have more details about that in due course. But if you're interested in hearing more about that, then sign up for my mailing list. You can find, I'll leave the details actually in the box at the bottom. You can sign up for that and leave your email address in the box, and I will start sending you details about that. Okay, so anyway, so what you fear in life is not real. That's the truth. So fear is the anticipation of a negative outcome. The dictionary definition here defines fear as a distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc., whether that threat is real or imagined. The feeling or condition of being afraid. That's what fear is. That's the definition of fear. So the words pending here and the words anticipation point out an important aspect of fear, because what you fear doesn't actually exist in the present moment. It is a projection in the present moment of what is going to happen. So we create a projection in our minds of what we think would be the worst scenario of our situation, whatever that may be. And then we believe that. We create that fear. We start telling ourselves this is what's going to happen, and it's the worst thing. And it creates all sorts of issues, anxiety, stress. Our energy is low. We don't actually see anything or get things done. We're worried all the time. So you can only be afraid of what is going to happen, or fear that something will happen again. So if something's happened in the past, like a breakup, for instance, you might fear that happening again. So again, it's a projection of what may or might happen, and generally doesn't happen. So worries, thinking about your fears, because that's what worries are, keep us awake at night and stop us focusing on things, stop us being in the moment, stop us being present and enjoying life, really. And they keep us from pursuing the opportunities each day that move us forward in life. We fear things going wrong, but when we're fearing things going wrong, what we're not doing is focusing on the very opportunities in front of us to help us perhaps move forward and get out of the situations we're fearing at the moment. For instance, if it's normal for us all to be struggling and worrying about money in some respects. If you look at the television, it's telling you, oh, it's going to be the worst recession in history and so on. It's normal for anybody to be fearful of, you know, their own situation in that scenario. But if you're spending your day worrying about stuff like that, how likely is it that you're going to create the actual solutions to your issues, to your problem? How likely is it you're going to find that extra bit of income, perhaps, or whatever it may be? You know, the reality is you're not going to see the opportunities because you're still focusing on the problem. And if you're focused on the problem, you won't move forward. You'll miss the opportunities. They'll just sail straight past you. So, you know, it's though there are situations that, you know, rightfully cause us concern, really. I mean, you know, I'm just not saying, oh, you shouldn't fear anything, because there are certain things in life that do cause us concern. For instance, if someone was holding a gun against your head, you know, depending on who you were. I mean, some people I know wouldn't care less about that, but most normal, rational people would. And so if someone was holding a gun against your head, the reality is most of the things we fear, though, are not going to happen. You know, ask yourself the question: how many times have you spent fearing something going wrong, only to find that what you feared never even come near to coming true? You know, it happens all the time. And so, you know, COVID was another one. You know, if you watch the news, yeah, okay, it was bad. There was a lot of bad things from it, but there's a lot of good things as well. But the thing is, the truth of the matter is if you spend your whole time fearing on the worst scenario, oh my God, the world's going to end, then you're going to be paralysed by fear and you're not going to get things done. You're going to be anxious and stressed and worried all the time. And that doesn't help you. You know, if you want to move forward, you don't want to be like that. So, yeah, fear is actually born out of, you know, self-protection, really. You know, it's about trying to protect ourselves from the worst scenarios. So you fear losing what you have, and what you want to actually keep, you know. And again, that's relevant to now when we're all going through situations where, you know, financially things may be tough, but there's also solutions to that. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, I was at a meeting the other day where everyone's moaning about the fact they couldn't go on holiday this Christmas, and that they're going to be about £2,000 less worse off than they were the year before. Now, instead of focusing on how much you're losing, if you had a solution-based mind, you'd be thinking, how can I make that extra £2,000 back? It's simple. You can do it. It's not impossible. You know, if you think things happen with the right mindset. So if you're focused on the problems, then you'll get more problems. If you're focusing on opportunities, you'll get more opportunities. That's how it works. So fear is actually born out of self-protection. If you are sat there worrying, though, and about having, you know, not enough money or not enough freedom if you're in COVID or whatever it may be, how likely do you think it is that you're actually going to be in the moment enough to create the solution to your situation or problem or whatever it may be? The reality is, truth is, you won't. You won't find that solution. You'll just create more problems. So one way to deal with your fears is to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? And if it were to come true, that is. By bringing the worst case scenario to your awareness, to your conscious awareness in the moment, you can make a plan to deal with the worst case scenario, were it to happen. And understand that you are really safe, generally, and that you will survive it. Very few people die from what they fear. So the reality is it's normally mundane things like a relationship breaking up or not having enough money to pay your bills at the end of the month. Or they're usually what we fear. So it's very unlikely that it's going to be a life and death thing. But fear is only ever present when we are not aware of our thoughts, when we're not focused in the moment, when we're too busy thinking about what's going to happen in the future or what's happened in the past, when we allow ourselves and our minds to wander away from what we're currently doing, what we're actually focused on right now in this moment, when our minds wander off and start thinking about the future and the past. That's when our fears come alive. And if you're in the moment, fears don't exist. Fears don't exist when you're living your life in the moment. Nothing we fear ever happens as we imagine it to. And that's because the stories we create in our mind are full of assumptions, limiting beliefs, interpretations that we create, all stuff we've built up through our lives, through past experience, through experience like when we've had bad experiences and things like that, or things that people have told us, or indeed stuff we watch on the news. If you turn the news on, you might be having a wonderful day, everything's going right for you. You turn the news on, they're telling you the world's going to end. All of a sudden your energy's boom, and that lowers your energy, and nothing from there on goes right for you because your energy's low as well. And this is exactly why I don't watch the news anymore, because I know the effect it has on me, and it's detrimental to where I want to be in life. And if I wanted to feel low and stressed and angry or victimised or conflict driven every single day of my life, then I'd watch the news. But I don't, unless you're aware enough to really protect yourself from that by watching it and not allowing it to impact you in any sort of emotional way. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's certainly not easy for me. That's why I don't do it. So when you know that no matter what happens in life, you will cope, you will manage, you will learn, you will grow from everything that you experience. And when you know that, that breeds confidence, because you know that no matter what the adversity is, no matter what the difficulty is that you're currently going through or experiencing, you'll come through it. You'll come through it stronger, and you will build on top of that. I've been through plenty of adversity, and I've had plenty of worries and fears. I don't worry about anything in my life now. I absolutely don't, because I know how to ground myself in the moment. I know how to switch my thoughts off when they're going the way I don't want them to be going, and I know how to start creating perspectives which actually work for me in any given situation, so that I'm always seeing opportunities. I'm always moving forward with my life. I'm always creating something new. Every day is a new journey for me. And that's because I use this philosophy that I now work with my clients. And that's exactly what has helped change my life. It wasn't prison, it wasn't my losses, it wasn't coming out of that. It was the philosophy I learned from IPEC, which I now teach my clients. That's what changed my life. So with confidence and awareness, you can literally create what you want. You start then to become more fearless, because the more you recognise that there's no obstacle that you cannot scale, there's nothing that you can't overcome, then that creates fearlessness. Because if you've got confidence that everything you do will turn out the way you want it to, not necessarily in a sense that I want to be a millionaire or anything like that, but I know I'll be successful dealing with everything that comes my way in some way or another. So when I know that breeds confidence, that breeds fearlessness. Working with a coach one-to-one, you will improve your awareness, your self-awareness. You'll increase your self-esteem. You'll be much more conscious of your fears and your worries and how to deal with them in the moment, and how to bring yourself back to a mindset which actually works for you right now and creates the things. You'll be able to see things like opportunities more easily. You'll be able to lessen your problems in life, because you won't have as many problems, because you'll see them differently. And if that's something that's appealing to you right now, then get in touch with me and stop being fearful of what may or may not happen. Because until you take that step out of your comfort zone where you feel protected, nothing changes. Take action. Get yourself out of your comfort zone. Take action and stop fearing what may or may not happen. And you'll find that your confidence and self-esteem will grow, and everything that you start really wants to create in your life will start happening for you. And tonight, that's it. And I love you and leave you, and I will talk to you next time. See you soon. Hope that's helped some people. If I can never turn the computer off.